The first thing Captain Derek Malley noticed wasn't the planet. It was the silence. Not the comforting kind of silence that came with deep space travel, where distant particles tapped softly against hull plating, where the ship's systems hummed like a living thing in the background. This was different. Wrong. Outside the observation deck of the exploration vessel INS Venture, space over Kepler 442c looked almost peaceful. The planet itself floated below like a blue-green marble wrapped in thin white storms. It should have been beautiful. But every sensor on the ship told a different story. No background radiation fluctuations. No solar wind distortion. No natural electromagnetic noise. Even the interstellar medium seemed absent. Lieutenant Aaron Cole broke the silence first, his voice unusually tight. "Captain, this doesn't make sense. It's like the universe is muted here." Derek didn't take his eyes off the holographic readout hovering in front of him. Lines of data scrolled endlessly, then abruptly flattened into near-perfect zeros. "That's not possible," Derek said quietly. "Space doesn't go silent." Behind them, the ship's AI chimed in with its usual calm neutrality. "Correction, external acoustic analogs unavailable. Electromagnetic background levels are statistically anomalous. This region exhibits near-zero entropy fluctuation in expected ranges." That got everyone's attention. Scientist Victor Hale stepped forward, adjusting his visor. "Near-zero entropy? That's not just rare, that's artificial." Cole let out a short laugh that didn't sound amused. "You're saying someone turned down the universe?" No one answered him. Because at that exact moment, the ship's long-range receiver flickered. A signal appeared. At first, it looked like noise. A messy spike in the data stream. But then the AI isolated it, cleaned it, and rebuilt the pattern. The bridge went silent. Because it wasn't noise. It was structured. Intentional. Human-made. Derek leaned forward. "Source." The AI processed for half a second. "Origin, subsurface region of Kepler 442c. Depth, 3.8 kilometers beneath planetary crust." Cole frowned. "That's impossible. There's no known civilization signature down there. We scanned the entire planet before landing clearance." Victor's fingers moved rapidly across his handheld console, pulling up prior survey data. There were no surface structures. No thermal anomalies. No technological readings. It was classified as uninhabited. Derek's expression hardened. "And now we've got a structured signal from underground." The signal repeated. Once. Twice. Then it stabilized into a pattern. The AI translated it. At first, the words were fragmented, broken across archaic encryption layers that hadn't been used in centuries. Then they resolved. And the bridge went cold. "Do not dig." A pause. The signal shifted again, as if the sender had noticed it was being received. "They store US below." Silence slammed into the room like a physical force. Even the ship's ambient hum felt too loud after that. Cole whispered, That's not a warning beacon. That's a message from someone who expected to never be heard." Victor swallowed. "Or someone who didn't want to be found." Derek straightened. "Run a confirmation sweep. I want redundancy on that signal." The AI responded instantly. "Confirmed. Signal origin remains fixed. Subsurface crystalline structures detected beneath planetary crust. Energy emissions increasing." "Energy emissions?" Derek asked sharply. The AI hesitated, something it almost never did. "Classification uncertain. Pattern resembles biological rhythm." Cole stepped closer to the display. "Biological? Like a heartbeat?" The AI responded. "Comparable analogy, affirmative." For a moment, no one spoke. Then the planet below shifted slightly in the viewport. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe it was just perception. But every member of the bridge crew felt it at the same time, a subtle vibration in their bones, like something far below had noticed them noticing it. Victor broke first. "Captain, we should not be in orbit anymore. We should be leaving." Cole nodded quickly. Seconded. But Derek didn't move. Because something about the signal bothered him more than fear ever could. It wasn't the warning. It was the phrasing. "They store US below. Not they kill us. Not they take us. Store. Like objects. Like data. Like something meant to be preserved, not destroyed." "Run historical linguistic match," Derek ordered. "Cross-reference human languages, pre-diaspora Earth dialects, colony slang, anything." The AI complied. Seconds passed. Then, Match found. Late 21st century Earth Emergency Broadcast Protocol. Modified variant. Likely origin, civilian distress encoding. Victor blinked. Earth? That's impossible. Earth went dark 3 centuries ago. Cole shook his head. Unless this isn't from Earth. Derek finally turned away from the viewport. Or unless something down there remembers Earth better than we do. The bridge lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then every console flashed at the same time. A new transmission entered the system. No longer passive. Now it was direct. Targeted. And unmistakably aware of them. The AI spoke, voice slightly lower than before. Incoming structured response. Subsurface source acknowledging observation. Cole's hand drifted toward his sidearm out of instinct he didn't even understand. Victor whispered, "We're being answered." The transmission decoded. Slowly. Deliberately. As if whatever was beneath the planet was choosing its words carefully. And then the message appeared. Not as sound. Not as data. But as a thought forced into every interface at once. You have arrived early. The ship's alarms did not go off. They didn't need to. Because everyone on the bridge suddenly understood the same terrifying fact. They were not the first to come here. And whatever had sent that signal had been waiting a very long time for someone to finally listen. The landing was supposed to be routine. That was what Commander Elias Grant kept telling himself as the shuttle broke through Kepler 442c's upper atmosphere. Routine meant controlled descent. Controlled meant predictable. Predictable meant survivable. But nothing about this planet felt predictable anymore. Through the forward viewport, the surface came into focus, an endless expanse of pale terrain shimmering under weak starlight. From orbit, it had looked like normal mineral soil mixed with desert sediment. Now, as they descended lower, Elias realized the ground had a strange quality. It didn't absorb light properly. It reflected it. Like glass. Atmospheric entry stable, the pilot reported, though his voice carried a tension he couldn't hide. Landing zone coordinates locked. Behind Elias, scientist Victor Hale stared at his instruments without blinking. Readings are fluctuating. The ground composition keeps changing depending on scan depth. Lieutenant Aaron Cole leaned over. Changing how? Victor hesitated. From silicate soil, to crystalline lattice, to something that shouldn't be structurally possible. The shuttle shuddered slightly as it passed through a thin cloud layer. And then the surface fully revealed itself. The landing zone looked solid from above, but now, up close, it resembled a vast field of fractured glass buried under a thin layer of dust. The entire planet's crust shimmered faintly, as if something beneath it was reflecting light back upward. Elias frowned. That's not geology. The pilot swallowed. We're 5 seconds from touchdown. The shuttle landed. There was no impact sound. No dull thud of metal against rock. Instead, the entire vessel gave a soft, resonant tone, like a tuning fork striking perfect pitch. Everyone froze. Cole whispered, Did the ground just respond to us? The answer came immediately. A second vibration rose from beneath the surface. Deeper. Slower. More deliberate. The ship's stabilizers adjusted automatically, but the sensation lingered through their boots and into their bones. Elias stood. We're going out. Commander, Victor started. Elias cut him off. We were sent to investigate. So we investigate. The airlock opened. The outside world was silent. No wind. No insects. No distant geological rumble. Only stillness. And beneath that stillness, something waiting. They stepped onto the surface. The moment Elias's boot made contact, the ground crunched. Not like dirt. Like breaking glass. He froze instantly. Everyone stop. But it was too late. Every step they had taken had already disturbed the surface. Fine fractures spread outward in delicate branching patterns beneath their boots, glowing faintly blue where pressure was applied. Victor knelt slowly, hands trembling as he brushed aside the dust layer. What he uncovered made him forget how to breathe. It's not soil, he whispered. Cole stepped closer. What is it? Victor tapped it gently with his tool. The ground sang. A clear, harmonic tone rang out across the landing zone, as if the planet itself had become a musical instrument tuned to human contact. Elias stepped back immediately. That's impossible. Victor ignored him, widening the cleared area. Beneath the thin crust of dust lay something vast. A crystalline structure. Not random. Not natural. But organized. Lad. Structured like architecture designed by something that understood geometry at a level humanity had never achieved. It goes down forever, Victor said softly. This isn't a deposit. It's a network. Cole frowned. A network of what? Victor didn't answer. Because something moved beneath the crystal. At first, it was subtle, like a shadow shifting under ice. Then it became clearer. A shape. Human. Frozen mid-motion inside the crystal lattice. Its face was turned upward. Eyes open. Mouth slightly parted. Not dead. Preserved. Elias took a step forward instinctively. That's a person. Victor shook his head rapidly. No, it can't be. There's no thermal decay. No decomposition. No time degradation. It's like they were paused. Cole's voice dropped. How many? Victor scanned the surrounding area. Then the scanner returned a number that made him step back involuntarily. Millions, he whispered. Silence fell again. Only now it felt heavier. Like something was pressing down from below. Elias stared at the frozen figure beneath them. We need extraction. Now. I want that sample analyzed. A sudden vibration cut him off. Not from above. From below. The crystal beneath their feet pulsed faintly, sending ripples of blue light through the network below the surface. And then, a sound. Not audible at first. But felt. Like a thought pushing against their minds. The AI aboard the shuttle activated remotely. Subsurface activity detected. Energy signature increasing. Pattern resembles communication attempt. Cole stepped back. Communication with what? The answer came immediately. The ground answered them. Not in words. But in structure. The crystal beneath them projected a faint holographic resonance into the air above the surface. Shapes formed, fractured, incomplete, but recognizable enough to make every human on the landing team freeze. It was a symbol. Not human. Not machine. But ancient in a way that felt instinctively familiar. And then the shuttle's external speakers crackled with a voice that did not originate from their systems. It came from the planet. From the crystal. From everything beneath them at once. You walk on memory. Elias stepped back. Who is that? Identify yourself. The voice did not respond to him. Instead, the frozen human figure beneath the crystal twitched slightly. Not physically. But cognitively. As if something inside it had noticed them. Victor whispered, they're aware. Cole's face turned pale. The people in there, they're not just stored. They're aware. The crystal field pulsed again. Stronger this time. And far beneath the surface, something massive shifted, so large it made the entire landing zone vibrate. The AI spoke one final time. Subsurface entity awakening. Elias looked at the horizon, suddenly realizing the truth forming beneath their feet. They had not landed on a planet. They had landed on a vault. And something inside it had just realized the lock had been broken. The descent did not begin like a journey downward. It felt like being noticed. Elias Grant led the team back toward the shuttle, but the ground beneath them no longer behaved like terrain. Every step sent faint ripples of blue light through the crystalline lattice below, as if the planet itself was reacting to their presence with delayed understanding. What are we standing on? Lieutenant Aaron Cole muttered, scanning his wrist display. Because this isn't a crust anymore. It's a structure. A massive one. Scientist Victor Hale didn't answer immediately. His eyes were fixed on the fracture patterns spreading beneath the surface. It's layered, he said finally. Millions of levels. Each one contains patterns. Like data storage. But not digital. Cole frowned. Then what is it? Victor swallowed. Biological. Cognitive. It's holding something. Elias tightened his grip on his sidearm. We go down. We find the source. And we get off this rock. No one argued. Because the alternative, staying still, felt worse. They returned to the shuttle, but the moment the hatch sealed, the ship's systems flickered again. The AI spoke without prompt. Warning, subsurface response accelerating. Structure beneath landing zone is reorganizing. Cole looked up sharply. Reorganizing how? The answer came in the form of vibration. Not external impact. Internal resonance. The entire shuttle shuddered as if something vast beneath the planet had shifted its attention upward. The landing struts groaned. Dust outside rose in slow motion, suspended unnaturally, as if gravity itself had become uncertain. Elias turned toward the pilot. Take us back to orbit. The pilot attempted to comply. But the controls hesitated. Not malfunctioning. Resisting. The eye's voice lowered slightly. Navigation systems partially overridden by external influence. Victor stepped back. That's impossible. No planet can access ship controls at that level. Cole stared at the console. Then it's not a planet. A deep silence settled inside the shuttle. Then the ground responded. Not audibly, but visually. The crystalline surface beneath them opened. Not like an explosion. Like something unfolding. A vast section of the planet's crust separated along geometric fault lines, revealing a vertical descent shaft that stretched so far downward it disappeared into darkness. And within the shaft, light. Pulsing. Alive. Elias stared. That wasn't there before. Victor shook his head slowly. It was always there. We just couldn't perceive it until it allowed us to. Cole's voice dropped. Allowed? The answer came immediately. A voice, not from the shuttle speakers this time, but directly through their implants, their suits, their cognition. It bypassed technology entirely. You have entered the outer layer. The descent shaft widened further. And something began to rise. At first, it was just a shadow within the glowing depths. Then structure became visible, vast interlocking formations of crystal and metallic organic material, spiraling upward like a colossal ribcage made of light. Then the shape resolved fully. It was not a creature in any conventional sense. It was architecture given motion. A colossal being formed of shifting crystalline plates, each one etched with patterns that resembled both language and memory. Wings, if they could be called that, unfurled along its sides, not made of feathers or membrane, but of lead refractive energy. Cole stepped back instinctively. Tell me that is not what I think it is. Victor's voice cracked slightly. Dragons. Elias turned sharply. Don't be ridiculous. Dragons are mythological constructs. Victor pointed at the rising entity. Then explained that. The being ascended fully from the shaft, filling the sky above them. Its presence bent light. Not by gravity alone, but by perception. It looked at them. And the AI on board the shuttle immediately responded. Ancient classification match, draconic entity. Non-biological cognitive structure. Extremely high energy coherence. Cole laughed nervously. So the legends were space aliens? Great. Fantastic. Love that for us. The dragon's eyes, vast, shifting galaxies contained in crystalline form, focused directly on the shuttle. Then it spoke. Not in sound. But in meaning translated instantly into every human mind present. You break the outer seal. Elias stepped forward despite every instinct screaming at him not to. We didn't know it was sealed. The dragon tilted its head slightly, as if evaluating the statement. Knowledge is not required for consequence. Victor whispered, it's thinking, it's actually thinking at us. Cole backed away. We should not be here. We should absolutely not be here. The shuttle systems flickered again. This time, more aggressively. External entity establishing full cognitive link with onboard systems. Elias shouted, AI, cut all external connections. Unable to comply. The dragon moved closer. The ground beneath it restructured with every motion, crystalline pathways forming beneath its feet like the planet itself was reshaping to accommodate it. Then it spoke again. You are not the first. Silence. The air felt heavier. Elias frowned. The first of what? The dragon's gaze shifted downward. And the crystalline ground beneath them responded. Images formed inside the surface, countless human figures suspended in light, drifting within the planet's depths. Millions. Frozen. Watching. Elias took a step back. What is this place? The dragon answered. A vault. Pause. A record of what your kind forgets. Victor's voice trembled. Those people, they're alive? The dragon did not deny it. Preserved. Cole shook his head. No, 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 that's imprisonment. The dragon's wings shifted, sending ripples of light across the sky. Preservation is not punishment. Elias clenched his jaw. Then why are we here? The dragon's gaze intensified. The entire landscape seemed to darken slightly under its attention. Because humanity has returned to the stars. A pause that felt like an eternity. Then. And you must now decide what to do with what was never lost. The ground pulsed once more. Deep beneath them, the vault responded. And every human consciousness stored within it, stirred at once. The silence after the dragon spoke did not feel empty. It felt crowded. Elias Grant stood frozen in the shuttle doorway, staring out at the impossible being suspended above the fractured crystalline landscape. The air itself seemed thinner now, as if the planet was holding its breath. "A vault," Lieutenant Aaron Cole whispered again, but this time it wasn't disbelief. It was comprehension turning into something colder. It called this place a vault. Scientist Victor Hale didn't respond. He had stepped out again without realizing it, drawn forward like something was pulling at the edges of his thoughts. The dragon watched him move. Not with hostility. With recognition. "You hear them," the voice echoed directly into their minds. Victor stopped. His breath trembled. I can hear something. Not words. Not exactly. Like fragments." Elias stepped forward sharply. "Victor, get back inside." But Victor shook his head slowly. "They're not gone." Cole swallowed. "What does that mean?" Victor raised a shaking hand and pointed at the ground. The crystalline surface beneath them was no longer just glowing. It was responding. Patterns of light pulsed in waves, synchronized across vast unseen depths. Each pulse carried something subtle, too faint for instruments, but undeniable to the human mind once noticed. Emotion. Memory. Presence. Then it happened. The first voice entered Elias's mind. Not through radio. Not through implants. Directly. A child's voice. Small. Fractured. Distant. "We remember falling." Elias staggered back, gripping his head. "What is that?" Cole shouted, "It's in my head." Victor dropped to his knees, tears forming without warning. "They're alive." The dragon descended slightly, its vast crystalline form casting shifting geometric shadows across the ground. "They were never destroyed," it said. "Only removed from time's decay." The ground beneath them brightened. And suddenly, the illusion of depth broke. The surface was not a surface at all. It was a transparent layer over something infinitely larger. Below them stretched endless crystalline chambers, vast interconnected vaults of light and structure, each one containing suspended human figures. Some were still. Some moved slightly. Some turned their heads toward the surface as if sensing intrusion. Millions became billions. Elias felt his stomach drop. "How many are there?" The dragon did not hesitate. "All that were lost." Cole laughed once, sharp, broken. "That's impossible. Humanity never had numbers like that. Not even across colonies." Victor interrupted quietly. "Not just humans." That made Cole freeze. Victor's eyes were locked on the depths below. "Look closer." Elias did. And the truth twisted his perception. The shapes weren't all identical. Not all human. Some were variations, different physiologies, different eras, different evolutionary branches. Some looked like humans who had never left Earth. Others bore modifications that suggested adaptation to alien worlds. Some were unfamiliar in ways that made the mind reject them before understanding them. Cole whispered, "Those are different species." Victor nodded faintly. "Or, different versions of us." The dragon's voice softened. "Humanity is not a single line. It is a forest of possibilities." The entire vault pulsed again. And this time, the voices came in waves. Not one child. Not one mind. Thousands. Millions. A chorus of consciousness brushing against the edge of awareness. Elias fell to one knee, overwhelmed. "Stop it, turn it off." But there was nothing to turn off. Because it wasn't technology. It was existence. Cole clenched his fists, trying to resist it. They're trapped. They're imprisoned in there. The dragon's gaze sharpened. "Prison is a human word." A pause. "We call it preservation." Victor whispered, "They don't feel pain." Then hesitated. His expression changed. "Or at least, not like we do." Elias looked up sharply. "What does that mean?" Victor swallowed hard. "Their minds are suspended. Not asleep. Not awake. Something in between. Like being held at the edge of memory without decay." Cole stepped back. "That's still imprisonment." The dragon shifted slightly, and the entire vault responded in kind, light cascading through the depths like a ripple through infinite glass. "When worlds die, memory dies with them." Its voice deepened. "We do not allow memory to die." A new image formed in the crystal beneath them. But not the Earth they knew. It was fractured. Burning. collapsing in time-lapse sequences that showed extinction events across impossible timelines, wars, cosmic disasters, ecological collapse, stellar anomalies. Each version of Earth ended differently. Each version ended completely. And each time, something descended. Something vast. Something draconic. Cole stared in horror. So every time humanity dies, you take us. The dragon answered without hesitation. We collect what remains before it is gone. Victor whispered, not just Earth. Elias understood now. This isn't a planet. He looked around at the endless vault beneath them. This is a system. A storage system. The dragon did not correct him. Cole's voice broke. So we're just data? Memories in a box. The dragon turned its gaze fully onto him. And for the first time, its tone carried something like sorrow. You call it data because you fear being remembered without end. Silence fell. The voices below surged again, stronger now that awareness had been acknowledged. Elias felt them pressing against the edges of his mind. Not invading. Inviting. A million lives trying to be noticed. A million stories refusing to fade. He clenched his jaw. If they're conscious, then they deserve freedom. Victor looked at him sharply. And if freedom destroys them? Cole added quietly, what if waking them up is the same as killing them? The dragon's wings slowly folded. The vault dimmed slightly, as if reacting to the moral weight of the question itself. Then it spoke the final truth of Part 4. This is why you were brought here. A pause that felt like a fracture forming in reality. Not to observe, but to choose what memory should become. And far below them, within the endless crystal sea of preserved minds, something new began to stir, not just awareness, but decision. The vault did not feel like a place anymore. It felt like a question with no correct answer. Elias Grant stood at the edge of the crystalline fracture zone, staring down into the impossible depth below. The chamber had opened wider now, as if reacting to the confrontation itself. What had once seemed like a planet's surface was now clearly only the top layer of something vast, an engineered abyss of stored consciousness stretching beyond visibility. Everywhere he looked, there were faces. Millions of them. Not dead. Not asleep. Waiting. Lieutenant Aaron Cole's voice came out strained. We need to leave. Right now. We report this. We bring in an entire fleet. We do not make decisions about something like this with 4 people on a hostile alien structure. Scientist Victor Hale didn't respond immediately. His eyes were fixed on the depths, tears still drying on his cheeks. They are not hostile, he said quietly. Not in the way we understand it. Cole snapped, they're keeping human minds in storage. Victor shook his head. And those minds are still intact. That silence hit harder than any argument. Elias finally spoke. Status of the entity? The ship's AI responded instantly, but its tone had changed slightly, less machine, more cautious. Draconic entity remains present. Cognitive link still active. Planetary structure classified as sentient scale archival system. Cole muttered, sentient scale archive, that's a nice way to say cosmic prison. The dragon heard him. Of course it did. It always had. Its massive form shifted above them, crystalline wings refracting starlight into fragmented patterns across the vault. When it spoke, it was no longer just inside their minds, it resonated through the entire structure beneath them. Prison is a label for what you do not understand. Elias stepped forward. Then help us understand. Why store them like this? The dragon paused. And for the first time, it felt less like an answer machine, and more like something remembering something painful. Because your kind does not survive its own endings. A ripple passed through the vault. Below them, countless human consciousnesses stirred. Cole rubbed his temples. Stop doing that. Every time you speak, I can feel them. Victor looked at him sharply. That's the point. They're connected to the system. Elias clenched his jaw. Connected how? The dragon descended slightly, bringing its immense form closer to the fracture edge. The air itself vibrated under its presence. When civilizations die, they do not simply end. They echo. A pause. Your echoes are loud. The vault responded. For a moment, the crystalline depths lit up like a galaxy turning over. Elias saw it clearly now, not just storage, but a structured preservation field. Each human consciousness was embedded in a lattice of energy and memory, suspended at the moment of highest cognitive coherence. It wasn't random. It was precise. Intentional. Cole shook his head slowly. So every time humanity collapses, you just pick up the pieces. The dragon answered. We do not pick. We preserve what is about to be lost forever. Victor whispered, and if you don't? The dragon's silence was answer enough. Elias looked down again. This time, something looked back. Not a single voice. Not a fragment. A coordinated awareness. A convergence. The millions below were no longer just passive consciousnesses. They were aware of the observers above them. And they were responding. A wave of thought surged upward through the vault, not chaotic, but unified in structure. Elias staggered slightly as it hit him. A feeling. Not words. Not sound. But intent. We are here. Cole gasped, stumbling back. They're reacting to us. Victor nodded slowly. They've always been able to. They were just contained before. The dragon's eyes dimmed slightly. They await reintegration or release. Elias froze. Release. Cole turned sharply. Don't even think about it. Victor looked between them. We don't know what release means. It could destabilize their neural patterns. After this long, their cognitive state might be dependent on the structure. Cole snapped, so we just leave them like this forever? Silence fell again. The vault pulsed. The dragon spoke more softly now. Release will collapse the pattern. A pause. Memory without structure does not survive. Elias exhaled slowly, trying to steady himself. So they die if we free them. Victor nodded reluctantly. Or they become something else, something unstable. Cole's voice lowered. And if we don't? The dragon answered immediately. They remain as they are. Preserved against entropy. Elias looked down into the vault again. And for the first time, he understood the real horror. Not death. Not imprisonment. But eternity without choice. The voices below surged again. Stronger. More coherent. Now they weren't just feelings or fragments. They were structured thought. A collective presence forming into something recognizable as human awareness on a scale beyond individuality. And they were speaking. Not to the dragon. Not to each other. To him. Elias felt it clearly. A single idea, carried through millions of minds. We remember you. He staggered back. They're aware of us, fully aware. Victor whispered, they always have been. Cole shook his head violently. This is insane. We cannot make a decision based on voices in our heads from stored brains. But even as he spoke, his certainty was cracking. Because the voices weren't chaotic. They were consistent. Human. Elias straightened slowly. If we initiate release, what happens? The AI paused longer than usual. Simulation incomplete. Data insufficient. Potential outcomes include cognitive dissolution, identity fragmentation, or successful reintegration into baseline neural state. Cole let out a bitter laugh. So it might kill them. Victor added quietly, or save them. The dragon watched them. Waiting. Not interfering. Not deciding. Just witnessing. Elias closed his eyes. For a long moment, there was only the weight of impossible responsibility pressing down through layers of crystal and memory and time. Then he spoke. Not as a commander. Not as a soldier. But as a human standing in front of something that had outlived understanding itself. We decide together. The vault responded immediately. The dragon's wings unfolded slightly. And every consciousness below, every stored fragment of humanity across impossible ages, suddenly surged into full awareness of the moment above them. A single choice had been reached. And now, the entire vault waited for the outcome.